Hello. We are live, and of course, we will let people get in here. Of course, I'm going to share it to my personal Facebook, and we will start a watch party there as well. And then, or not, we'll just share it to my page publicly here. All right, guys, I hope everybody is having a great night. So, we are here. We're ready to get started here. So our first story today is in connection to Kyle Rittenhouse. He was the 17-year-old kid who shot 3 and killed 2 in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Rittenhouse, of course, was too young to purchase a firearm. So he gave the money to his 19-year-old friend, Dominic David Black, who bought the Smith & Wesson M&P 15 rifle for Rittenhouse. Black is being charged with 2 felony counts of intentionally selling a firearm to a minor. According to police records filed in the criminal case, Black purchased the gun in Ladysmith, Wisconsin, using money Rittenhouse gave him earlier in the year. The gun was intended to be used during hunting trips, he said. The gun was stored at his stepfather's home in Kenosha. So then you fast forward to when the armed men went to the city of Kenosha, and Black, I guess, asked Rittenhouse if he wanted to come help protect the local business. Well, according to Black, Rittenhouse would have thrown a fit if he did not allow Rittenhouse to carry his rifle that night. So they let Rittenhouse carry his rifle that night, and of course you guys know the rest of what happened. All right, so he is being charged again with 2 felony counts of intentionally selling a firearm to a minor. Now let's get to the next story. The next story is about the New York 27th District congressional race. Chris Jacobs won the special election a few months ago, and again, he won in kind of a landslide again against Nate McMurray and Dwayne Whitmer. Jacobs beat Nate McMurray on a 2-to-1 vote. All right. And Dwayne Whitmer only claimed less than 2% of the vote. But before the election even started, this race got interesting, and I talked about it, if you guys remember, maybe you don't. But where the Democratic Party sued Green Party candidate Mike Gams off of the ballot in the New York 27th Congressional District, worrying he would take votes away from McMurray, which we now see McMurray lost 2-to-1 anyway. And the Republican Party tried to do the same thing to Whitmer, the Libertarian nominee. However, Whitmer ended up defeating those, even though they cost him financially in his campaign and staying on the ballot. And Whitmer ran a pretty good campaign, if I say so myself. But again, Chris Jacobs was the winner out there in NY27. So now on to Marshall, Arkansas for our third story. Former police chief Lang Holland. So he is the now former chief of police in Marshall, Arkansas. He resigned from his position after journalists uncovered posts on everyone's new favorite social media site, Parler, in which he endorsed violence against Democrats. All right, in a post from Friday, November 6th, Holland told people not to forget what these Marxist Democrat bastards have done or have tried to do, and urged Republicans to get in their face when they see them in public. Throw water on them at restaurants, push them off sidewalks, never let them forget that they are traitors and they have no right to live in this republic after what they have done, he said. He also said former President Barack Obama should be executed. He also shared a meme from an account called QAnon, referring to a conspiracy theory with baseless claims that argue that the world is ruled by Satanist pedophiles who are plotting against Donald Trump. Holland also said Black Lives Matter protesters and Antifa members who tried to intimidate Republican voters should be shot in the face. After the post began to circulate on Twitter and Facebook on Friday, another account appeared on Parler with the username Chief Langland Holland that claimed to be the real chief. That account, claiming to be run by Lang Holland, claimed to be the original Parler account was fake, and he was horrified and disgusted by the posts that were shared on it. However, Marshall Mayor Kevin Elliott later said that the original comments were made by Holland, and then he had resigned. The city of Marshall strongly condemns the actions of Mr. Holland in his post to social media, Elliott said in a statement released on Saturday. His remarks in no way reflect city government or the people of Marshall, Arkansas. The Marshall community does not in any way support or condone bullying or threats of violence to anyone of any political persuasion. We condemn it. We are humbly building to build a bright future for all of our citizens, whether they are long-term residents or new arrivals. So he has now resigned, but I felt like I wanted to read that whole story in full so you guys can see what the statement was from the town. Now on to the next story. This story is out of Utah. It was originally reported that a Utah man was arrested for firing a weapon during a political debate. While that played a part, it is not fully the case, so let's go through this story. A Utah man has been arrested on suspicion of firing a weapon and making violent threats during an argument. According to probable cause statement, 41-year-old Jerry Allen Aubrey was highly intoxicated at a cabin on November 8th. A man called police to report he and others were being held against their will after an argument with Aubrey over an open-style relationship with Aubrey's wife, as well as debating the 2020 election. Sergeant Medley Cutter with the Unified Police Department said the argument was more than just a disagreement over an election outcome. He says Aubrey, his wife, the man called the police are all involved in a love triangle. And at one point, Aubrey left the cabin and the other man said he heard 1 to 3 gunshots and believed at least one of the shots was fired in his direction. The man said that when Aubrey returned to the cabin, he continued to argue and threaten to kill them. When officers arrived, they located a shell casing and a magazine in the area where the shots came from. They noticed Aubrey had a strong odor of alcohol in his breath and was having a hard time standing without assistance. They arrested him on suspicion of third-degree felony discharging of a firearm, as well as a misdemeanor intoxication and threat of violence. All right, so now we're going to go to the most disturbing story of the day. And the story that I talked about a little while ago as well. But again, so a Virginia gynecologist has been found guilty of submitting false insurance claims after performing what authorities described as unnecessary surgeries on women, including hysterectomies and tubal ligations. The Justice Department said in a statement on Monday that a federal jury convicted Javid Perwaz on 52 counts related to his defrauding of health insurance programs and falsely telling his patients they needed surgeries. The Chesapeake doctor had pled not guilty. He could face up to 465 years in prison. Sentencing is scheduled on March 31st. Dr. Perwaz preyed upon his trusting patients and committed horrible crimes to feed his greed, said Zachary Terwilliger, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Yeah, this is awful. It's just disturbing. Federal prosecutors said last year that many of the procedures Perwaz performed were unwanted and that 173 women had come forward since his arrest to report similar experiences, including repetitive surgeries they never asked for. Jesus. What? Who does this stuff? Sorry. I'm trying to be professional here, but wow. Prosecutors said he performed the surgeries for his own financial gain. Authorities said Perwaz billed private and governmental insurers millions of dollars for irreversible hysterectomies and other procedures that were not medically necessary. Perwaz sometimes would falsely tell his patients that they needed surgeries to avoid cancer, they said. He also billed insurers hundreds of thousands of dollars for diagnostic procedures that he never performed. Wow. Just, that that is sick, and there is so much wrong with that. Oh, hi, Sylvester. But on to the next story. So the next story, I mean, it's not as disturbing, but it's still kind of disturbing here. The federal government opposes release. All right, so I'm sorry. The next story is about Caleb Franks. Caleb Franks is one of the guys that was trying to plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. The federal government opposes release of defendant in alleged plot to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Caleb Franks, aka Red Hot, 26 years old, is one of five federal defendants named in a criminal complaint who asked to be released after a magistrate judge ordered their detentions pending expected grand jury indictments. Sorry, guys. Franks has asked that his detention order be revoked. He has turned his life around after heroin addiction. He has a job helping others who struggle with addiction. He owns a house where he lives with his fiancee and mother. His attorney, Scott Graham, has characterized his client's actions as big talk between crackpots who wouldn't have followed through on the alleged conspiracy anyway. He says Franks has diabetes, which puts him at a heightened risk for coronavirus while in jail. Assistant U.S. Attorney Nils Kessler, in response to Franks' motion to revoke the detention order, said Franks played an active role in the alleged conspiracy and continues to be a danger to the community. In all, 14 members of the Michigan-based militia Wolverine Watchmen have been arrested. Prosecutors alleged that some of the defendants talked about kidnapping the governor, killing police officers, and overthrowing the government. Wow. Just wow. They were also there were also talks of killing the governor or leaving her adrift in a boat in the middle of Lake Michigan. Defense attorneys say the men were targeted because they shared interest in firearms and don't like the government. All right, I don't like that argument. There's a lot of people, including myself, who like firearms and don't like the government. Hello? Yet, I'm not plotting to kidnap a governor, and no one's looking into me, so... Sorry. The alleged kidnapping plan involved taking Whitmer from her northern Michigan home, testimony and court documents show. Franks was among those who cased Whitmer's house in Lake Michigan. They cased her house, okay, in Antrim County and trained in combat tactics with semi-automatic weapons. In Wisconsin, Kessler wrote his assault rifle had a suppressor. He and others used code names and spoke in code to hide their identities. Kessler, when another defendant, Daniel Harris, who was 23 of Lake Huron, aka Beaker, suggests someone dress as a pizza delivery person and shoot the governor at her door. What? You see? All right, let's just keep it. Frank's code name was Red Hot. Red Hot wrote in the chat, okay, sounds good. I'm up for anything as long as it's well planned, Kessler wrote. Frank's hair and Eric Blair's alleged co-conspirators. Jeez. All right, so the alleged co-conspirators, Adam Fox, 37 of Wyoming, Brandon Kestra, 33 of Canton, Ty Garbin, 24 of Livingston County, Michigan, are all in federal custody. The FBI has recordings from 2 confidential sources and undercover FBI agents and monitored their online encrypted chats. Kessler also said Franks poses a danger because he allegedly obtained the parts to assemble 2 9mm semi-automatic pistols and an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, untraceable ghost guns, to try to sell to a drug dealer friend. He noted that the U.S. Magistrate Judge Sally Burns ordered Franks and other federal defendants detained after hearing 2 days of testimony. Burns considers Franks' health when ordering his detention. Given the seriousness of the charged offense, his condition does not outweigh the risk of his release, which would pose to the members of the community. So good on her. Yeah, guys, I want to go back here. So let's talk about what the attorney said. Oh, it's just conversations between crackpots. They'll never act on it. They're just doing this for fun. They're just plotting to kidnap the governor for fun. This is what friends do. Guys, like I like conspiracies, obviously, and I like guns, and I have a distrust of the government. But when me and my friends are sitting around smoking or partying or whatever, I'll tell you what, we don't plan to kidnap politicians. We make other stupid plans. Don't get me wrong. We do all kinds of stupid things. But never once was I like, you know what? Let's go kidnap the governor. Of course, Drake and Josh kidnapped the governor, but let's not get into that right now, okay? But seriously, guys, like, it, anyway, there's one more thing I want to talk about today, and it's not anything I have typed up, but it's something that we see on Facebook, and it's this large movement we're watching from people moving from Parler to Facebook or off Facebook or whatever. Um, so I checked out Parler. Wow, just wow. It it's like Reddit and Twitter and Alex Jones all had a kid together. The three of them all together, if you can imagine that. That is what Parlor is like. I just wouldn't recommend. But that is the end of this show, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day. I love you all. Stay safe out there, and